I think that one of the biggest problems with COVID was where you weren't even allowed to touch anymore, right? It was like a fist pump or just a wave. Hugs were a big no-no, and so I think a lot of people now have become uncomfortable with that. They might want to hug or shake hands or whatever, but they're like, maybe the other person doesn't want to, so I'm not going to initiate it. So most, I find, especially for adults, there really isn't a lot when it comes to physical contact like the way it would be through dance. Like obviously the younger kids can play sports and so on, right? But I think that when it comes to an extracurricular activity for someone who's older, who's in their late 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s, there really isn't a lot that they can do, with the same kind of outcome that comes from dance, where you walk into a class with a bunch of strangers, but after a couple of classes, you're on a different level now. You build a bond with these people, right? So I think that's what's missing. And as time continues, it's going to get worse when it comes to social contact. I think it's just getting tougher and tougher to connect with people. So, Luma, I think you had some coping mechanisms that you wanted to kind of talk about. So,
Oh yeah, dance is one of them. Yes.
so when it comes to like coping mechanisms, we're talking about people having to deal with anxiety, people having to deal with stress, people having to deal with their insecurities that they may have as well too, right? So everyone deals with this. Like I don't care how healthy you may be, everyone deals with this, and everybody has an out, right? Some people, like Yulia, you go to the gym, right? So do you want to talk about that and how that kind of helps you feel great, and kind of let us know what your gym routine is?
Before I try like hot yoga, it's really, really good. It's relax your body, relax your muscles, and it's more easy to stretch and flexibility. So this is nice. But the last 2 years, I just use the gym more like hard machines. It's nice because if you have some stress, this is very nice. So I usually use the steps like 30 minutes to warm my body. After use the machine and a little bit stretch. Very important if you want to see some like shape or muscles, use the protein shake because usually we don't have enough protein for a day like where we use eggs, cheese, and we really need protein because it's not enough for
To build muscle.
to build muscle and just work your body health.
And then, I mean, after a workout, do you feel like very relaxed and your head is more clear now?
Yeah, it's good. Like I can say, like dance and gym. It's good because your mind a little bit when you do some workouts, your mind a little bit relax, and it's good if you feel listen some music or audio books or something. You relax.
Clears your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after workouts, you do stretch, and it's very nice feelings. Nice shower.
Sauna is also very good as well too. I mean, going to the sauna after
Yeah,
a workout,
if
it's
you
a
have this
great way to
option.
detox yourself, right? So,
Amazing.
Luma, you want to kind of share some of your and what they kind of relate to as well too when it comes to coping mechanisms. What the issue is and what you can do to kind of, I wouldn't say you can't really get rid of the issue, but I think it might be help you kind of cope with it better, right? That's why it's a coping mechanism.
Well, in terms of anxiety, something to do that I learned to do is to like separate the facts from emotions or facts from opinions as well, because like emotions are not facts, even though they might feel like that in the moment. And it's basically just all about getting to that mindfulness. And that's where dance also comes into it, because I talked about this in the meeting before, TIP, which stands for temperature control. So like ice or like really hot, like a sauna would work as well. And then intense exercise like dancing or running or anything really. and then it is paced breathing, and then progressive muscle relaxation.
Yeah, I think that one good point you made is that feelings are not facts,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's one of the things that all of us struggle with, right?
And most emotions don't last more than a minute.
Yeah,
That's actually been proven. That really shocked me when I learned it. I was like, no, show me that. That's not true. I feel emotions all the time.
unless you kind of let the emotion take control of you.
Yeah.
You know, a good example would be if you're driving and someone cuts you off and you get angry, like that person cut me off on purpose. Oh, he doesn't even know you. And then you're like ready to flip him off. You want to cut him off. That guy could be going to the hospital because his wife's in the hospital, or he's in a rush, or he dropped his phone in the car. It's not because he didn't cut you off because of you. But you think it's personal because you feel that way. So now that feeling is a fact. So you must get him back.
Perfect example. I have bipolar disorder. My best friend's got borderline personality disorder.
Am I your best friend?
No.
Shit. Oops.
And then we got two of us in a bar, and like we get heated, right? We've had some drinks. We can't let that emotion pass now after that minute, and it escalates.
So heated with each other?
No, heated with other people, obviously, not with each other. But that it's very hard to get past that one moment. But it's right. It's once you can get past that one moment, you can make better decisions. It's extending that 1 minute into a longer scenario that creates the problem. But it's learning how to, like Lima said, separate the emotion from the fact. And then not get jumped outside of a bar.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth shut and leave.
That's also obviously in words it sounds easy to do. Like someone who suffers from BPD, it's very, very difficult for that individual to be able
to. It takes practice to do it.
It is.
It takes a
Like
lot
now
of
I
therapy.
can do it without like first getting upset, but before I would have to get upset, cry for a while, and then like be alone in my room, and then I would be like, oh wait, logic. Like
I'm overreacting.
like mindfulness, the definition of it is basically just having a balance of logic and emotion.
Yeah, I think what happens is with people like who have bipolar, or even if they have BPD, they cannot regulate their emotions.
Yeah, they have a lot of more difficulty.
Yeah, so
doing
they
so.
feel everything 1,000 times more
And black and white as well.
than someone who can regulate their emotions. So if they love immensely, but if they hate or they rage or they have anger or shame or sadness, it's at an all-time high. And then to be able to kind of control that at that moment, that definitely requires a lot of self-awareness, like you said, therapy as well.
Yes.
And then being able to communicate with yourself. And that can be because now you're in a battle in your own head. You've got that raging emotion telling you this is real and you have a right to feel that. And then your rational side is like a little tiny voice at that point, right? So how do you kind of, give that rational side of yourself an opportunity?
Well, something that like really stuck out to me in therapy was like when you're in those situations, like would you say that to a close friend? Like when you're saying like, oh, I'm so stupid, like I messed up, like I should kill myself. Like would you say that to your close friend if they were coming to you with that? You probably wouldn't. So if you talk to yourself like you were talking to a friend or a loved one, like you'll realize like, yo, I actually do deserve like to calm down. And I'm not a terrible person. Like
sympathy. You deserve sympathy. Yeah, that's important. So one thing that I did learn is there's a word, an acronym, which is SET, which is having sympathy, empathy, and trust, right? And I think for people with BPD, as well as even bipolar, I think that's very, very important for the people around them to be able to always focus on those three things, and having sympathy for the individual, understanding if they're going through something, having empathy as well, and building trust where they know that they can, that they're in a secure place no matter how they may react, right? So there's also breathing techniques, right? Is there not? Like if you have an episode.
Like there's so many like apps we can get on our phone now. If like you're feeling overwhelmed, like you got to take like a 1 minute meditation, you just put it in your headphones and it just tell you how to breathe. And then even if your mind's not calm, your body will be.
And then how about like writing things down?
That's
like when
that
you're
can
feeling
backfire sometimes, but it is very good to like get your feelings out.
Like if you're, let's say if you're raging, you're like obviously underneath all that anger is sadness and grief.
Yeah.
The anger just a mask, right? So the anger is just the rage is there, but underneath all of that, if you have sadness and you have grief, right? So I've read this in many places that if you were to just live in the moment and say, okay, why am I so angry? Why am I so upset? And once you kind of write it down, you can rationalize it better and say, you know what? really
Mhm.
isn't that big of a deal. Now that I've kind of written it down on a piece of paper and you kind of throw that away after, it kind of goes away with it, right?
Yeah.
So what's you're saying there's also the other side to it. It
Well,
might have a negative effect.
probably shouldn't have said that. Before I went to therapy, it had a negative effect because I would just write terrible things to myself. And there was a point in my life where there was like a different voice in my head. And sometimes that other voice would write for me and it was really scary.
Mm-hmm.
So unless that happens to you,
That's
it should be fine.
That's the BPD, right?
That was the PTSD actually. But
Okay. Yeah. Because I think people that have disorders like BPD or even bipolar, that people have to realize that that's not the person.
yeah.
That the person is one individual, and the disorder is like another identity altogether, and that identity is what's causing the problem. It's not really the person themselves,
Mhm.
right? Do any of you ladies have any other sort of coping mechanisms, like if you're dealing with stress or anxiety?
Well, like particularly if you're in a relationship, like a marriage, me being bipolar and ADHD doesn't help my husband. Like I was telling you before, what we try to do every day is we connect with each other and we'll sit down and I'll ask him, what are you at? Because no relationship's 50-50. You each have to put in 100%. And sometimes not some days you're not at 50, some days you're at an 80 and some days you're at a 20. So we'll connect and I'll ask him, what are you at? 50? Okay, great. I'm at a 50. We're at 100. We can do this together. Some days I wake up and I'm like, I'm at a 20. He's like, I'm at a 20. All right. So what are we going to do so that I'm not slamming doors? We're not fighting with each other, because we will fight. And then with my disorder, I won't stop until I get a reaction. Then I get the reaction I want. And then I cry because it's all my fault. And then I want the attention and the hug and the sympathy. Like, it's a never ending cycle like that. So in order to avoid it, we also do a great thing called a numbers chart. It's a simple, just get a basic calendar, and every day I'll write a number on the calendar from 1 to 10. And he can start to see when I'm going up and when I'm going down. And when he can start to see me going down, he can start preparing mentally himself. So he knows, okay, she's going down. She's going to want to be by herself in the bedroom. I'm going to go get her clean sheets. I'm going to go make her a nice bed. I'm going to make sure, her music's beside her, because I know for the next few nights, she's going to want to be alone. I'm not going to, approach her too suddenly when she's heated. So he can just see every morning looking on the calendar, okay, you know what? She's at a 3 right now. She's going down really low. I got to help her. All right, she's manic right now. 6 loads of laundry will be done. The house will be clean. So he can start to see where he also needs to support me and the house. So it's a visual for him as well, right? So me always complaining about the same thing, he doesn't know what I'm asking for.